Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Mr. Wiz here. If you are new to this channel, we build video games. Right now we are working our way through MakeCode Arcade. I've already made a whole bunch of videos just teaching you the basics on how to build games here. And now we're looking at extensions. Today we're looking at the secret extension called Extra Effects. When I say secret extension, I mean it's not one you're going to find on the website. You can only access it if someone shares the link with you. So I'm going to be teaching that to you guys today. Before we get into the extension, let's talk about the special effects that are already in MakeCode Arcade. You're probably already familiar with these. These are the special effects that you will find in the sprite section or in the scene section. So here I have an empty program with a sprite on the screen, and I want to give the sprite some effects. I can go to Sprites, scroll down here to where it says My Sprite Start Spray Effect. I can select that, and I can choose different types of effect. So this would be the spray effect that you see there. There's a whole bunch of them. There's confetti effects. There's heart effects. There's fire effects. There's all sorts of great stuff here that you can use on a sprite, a big list of them. There are also effects that you can use in a scene. You can go to the scene section, scroll down to the start screen effect, and there's a bunch of them here as well. So you've got confetti, there's blizzards, there's starfields, there's clowns. Starfield's probably one of my favorite ones. I use in a lot of my space games. So there's already in MakeCode Arcade a lot of pre-built special visual effects is what I'm trying to say, right? Whether you're putting them on the sprite or you're putting them on the scene, there's a lot of options. What there isn't much option on is customizable effects. So all these effects that I just showed you, these are pre-built. The little plus sign behind them lets you set a time limit on them, but you can't actually change the way they look, their colors, or anything about them. So that's where this special extension helps out a lot, is that it lets you design your own special effects, which is pretty cool as far as from a creative perspective goes. It is a little technical, but it's pretty cool. So to get to it, you go to extensions, and in the search bar, you just need to paste this link, and I will share this link with you guys in the description of this video. So it's called Extra Effects, and then once I download it, it will appear in the toolbox right here in its own section. So let's go ahead and get started. You've got a couple round bubbles here that you can use for effect data, and then here is where you're creating them. So there's two different ones. There's one that comes from a sprite, or there's one that just spawns on a location in the scene. So if I grab the one that comes from a sprite, I can now start to design it in some different ways. So here I have a color that I can choose from, and then I have a type of effect. So spark, explosion, cloud, or twinkle. So let's just take a look at that really quick here. So there's the spark, yellow spark. This would be yellow explosion. Cloud. The cloud one's kind of cool. It's almost like a puff of smoke, right? So if I was to change the color to something that was more like smoke, it might look a little bit better. Yeah, pretty cool. There's twinkle. So twinkle probably looks better with the yellow type. There we go. And then behind it, you can set the time. So that was a really short one. You could do longer, half second, full second, 2 seconds, 5 seconds, or just type in your own number there, right? So remember, you are dealing in milliseconds. So 500 is 500 milliseconds, which is half of 1 second. So that's a pretty cool one. I do want to notice while we're looking at this, this is the twinkle effect. When I run it, it doesn't always look exactly the same. Are you guys catching that? Look at where the twinkles are happening. There's a lot of randomness built into this. So that's randomly picking the location for the twinkle. And I think that's pretty cool. It makes your games look a little bit more professional when you do have that randomness built into it. All right, so behind that, I want you guys to notice this plus sign here. The plus sign allows you to make more changes to it. I can change the diameter. So this is how wide the twinkle is happening. So right now, it's happening around him there. If I want to make it even larger, I can go, what looks like it maxes out as about 100. Let's see what that looks like. So now it's a big area, right? Or I could go for a much smaller area. Maybe I only want it happening close to the character. That's pretty cool. There's another plus sign, though, so there's more things I can customize. With the second plus sign, I can change the density. This is pretty neat. So how many twinkles do I actually want to happen around him? Right now, there's not a lot. So if I increase the density, here, let's just go max so you guys can see. It looks like it maxes out at 50. That's a lot more twinkles around him, right? So just this block alone has a lot of customizations. I'm customizing the color. I'm customizing this type of effect. I'm customizing the time, the size, and the density. A lot of stuff here with this one block. But this is only the top of the iceberg here. The customization options get crazy. So let's keep going. That was to put something around a sprite. Then there's this one, which works similarly, but it has an XY position. So instead of going on a sprite, it goes on a part of the screen. So maybe I want it to be up here. Now I can create an effect up there, right? Let's change the color. Maybe it's a firework or something like that. So I'm going to go with red explosion. There it is. Oh, explosion doesn't look good for fireworks. That looks more like smoke. Maybe I should keep it at spark. Yeah, that's actually pretty cool. That does look a bit like a firework. And the same customization options I had there, I have here. So I can change the time, I can change the diameter, I can change the density, I can change all of that. That's pretty cool. All right. So those are the two basic blocks that allow you to create the special effect, but we are still not done with the customizing part. Down below that in the advanced data, this is where things get crazy. So let's get started on this. I'm going to create an effect called my effect. I'm going to put this at the beginning of my code. And here I can start to set up things about it. So the colors, I can have multiple different colors in here. So maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm doing a Christmassy thing and I want to do red and green. Then the mono particle color, I'm going to be very honest with you guys. I've used this on and off, and I can't really tell a difference. If you know what the difference is between turning this on or off, let me know. Because when I play with it, it looks the same to me. So I'm not really sure what the difference is with on and off. Sizes is cool. So this has to do with the sizes of the particles that are created, the little dots. So there are pre-made ones here. Spark, explosion, cloud, and twinkle, the same ones we saw down there. So you can pick one of these, or if you don't want to do those, you can also, down here at the bottom, there is options for array of numbers growing or array of numbers shrinking. That's kind of cool. So if you want to design your own thing, rather than one of those pre-made ones, you can pick one of these, and that can, kind of be a neat little twist to it. So we'll leave it Spark for now. Initial spread. Initial spreads, we have to do, how wide is it going over time? So much stuff you can customize here. Duration, and there's more than one option. That's pretty cool. And then with this plus sign, we can add even more stuff. Initial velocity. I don't really love the initial velocity one, and you'll see what I'm talking about here. If I throw this in here, basically it just makes the sparks move. Oh, it didn't work. Oh, I'm sorry. It didn't work because I'm not using it yet. I forgot. We're still designing it. We're not actually using it yet. I'm going to get rid of these other two. We're designing an effect that we're not using right now. So, okay. We have spread, over time spread, duration, velocity, multiplying, gravity. This is cool. So after the particles get made, do you want them to stay where they are, or do you want them to fall? So if I'm thinking about making something like a firework, usually there's an explosion and then the particles would fall, right? So if I want to do something like that, I probably want to add gravity. There's wave diameters. There's so much stuff here. And to be honest with you guys, some of this is really kind of hard to explain. I'm going to highly recommend you guys just play around with this. Change some numbers and see what happens. The best way to learn about building special effects is just to play with it. So a lot of stuff here. So here I've designed one. I haven't done much with it. Most of these are the original numbers, but I could play around with it a little bit later. So I've designed my effect. How do I use it? So to use my effect, I go back to the effects section and I grab one of these. Am I going to put this effect on a character or by itself? Let's do it by itself. In fact, I'm just going to go ahead and delete the character. We don't need him in this game anymore. I just wanted to use him for the example. Okay, so it's creating it in the middle of the screen right now, and that's fine. And it's using the yellow spark, but I want to replace the yellow spark with the effect that we just created, right? So I'm going to go to variables and grab this one called my effect, because we named this effect my effect. If you have more than one effect, you're probably going to want to give them different names, right? So we've got my effect here, and we are going to put the my effect variable in here where the yellow spark is. So now it's going to start the effect that we've already designed at that location for that time. And we can customize the other stuff with it still if we want to, right? So let's take a look. There's my green and red special effect. So let's customize it out some more. I want to have a lot more density here. And I want to give it a bigger spread. Oh, that's pretty cool. Not bad, right? And I could do a lot more with it. So a lot of options here to customize. Oh yeah, let's do the gravity thing I was telling you about. So let's give it gravity. So now when it shoots, oh, it didn't work. Maybe it is working, I just can't tell. Maybe I need to make it last longer. Maybe that's why. If I give it 5 seconds, can we see the gravity then? I still can't really tell any gravity. So as I mentioned, some of these numbers are a little, you just have to play with them a bit to kind of get them to work the way you want them to. Let's give them a velocity like I was saying earlier. If you give it velocity, it moves in that direction. So right now, they're all kind of moving diagonal because that was the way I gave it with these numbers. Duration. This is probably important. Let's do 1 second to 2 seconds. Oh, now we can tell the gravity. Okay, you guys can see it falling after it gets created there. So it seems like this duration is really not how long is the special effect happening, but how long is each particle lasting. That seems to be what's happening here. So initial spread, overtime spread, I don't know. What happens if we do 0 to 100? Does that change those very much? Ooh, that's pretty cool. I think that time is way too long, though. So I set it for 5 seconds. Let's set it back to a shorter time. What if the effect is short, but the particles last long? Oh, that's kind of neat. Yeah, there's so much you can do here. So much you can do here by playing around with these numbers. Okay, so let's go back to the effect toolbox. Underneath of where this is, these are the bubbles you can use to customize it. So you can customize the mono particle color like I told you about, the one I'm not really exactly sure what it does. So that you can customize here. Then you can also affect the sizes and colors. So if you want to change the way you originally set it up, you can change those here. This drop down has so much stuff in it. So the My Effect, I'm going to grab this. There's so much stuff here that you can add to that's not even in the original. So you have extra spawn VX, extra spawn VY. There's gravity, wave radius. This one's a cool one. Let me show you what happens when I set a wave radius. Let's just set it to 100, and I'll show you what this does. Now they're like, it creates like a wave, like a storm. It's crazy. There's all sorts of stuff here. Overtime spread, initial spread, min and max, particle duration, decelerate after duration. Just so much stuff here you can play with. So I highly recommend you just play around with it and see what it looks like, see what looks good. The best way for you to learn really for this extension is just to play with it. So after those, we have the arrays down here that I already mentioned a little bit here. So we have these, which can change the size, right? So let's go ahead and change that. So right now I'm using the spark sizes. Let's change it from spark size to a growing size. So now it's going to grow basically from 0 to 16. And you can see when that happens how that changes the effect. So it's basically just making a small pixel that gets bigger and bigger. right? And I can change this number. So maybe I don't want it to get that big. Maybe I only want it to get up to 5. That actually didn't look too bad. I kind of like that. You can also use the other one that was there to start big and get small. That's kind of a weird effect, but maybe you could make it work, right? So it starts big and gets smaller. Interesting stuff there. All right, so that was the growing, the shrinking, and then this one is just using the pre-made sizes from the ones that we looked at, like we had a few minutes ago with the, I'm just going to set it back, where you could pick between Spark, Explosion, Cloud, or Twinkle. For the colors, I have my own colors designed right now of red and green. I could do more of those, right? Maybe I want it to kind of fade, starting with red, and then maybe it fades to pink, and then orange, and then yellow, and then maybe we'll do one more where it goes to white before it disappears, right? So I could do something like that and create some really cool effects. Oh, that was actually pretty neat. So a lot of options for that. Or I can use these, the array of colors for the ones that already existed. So I can replace, hold up, let me shrink it back down. Okay, there we go. I can replace these colors with the pre-made colors. So these pre-made colors, fire, ice, toxic, electric, poison, and smoke, these are pretty neat. So if I use the fire colors, this is what it's going to look like now. Very similar to what I had a minute ago, because I think there's also brown in there. If I use ice colors, you're going to get things that are designed to look cold, right? It's a cold explosion. I could use toxic colors, which I think are like green shades. Yeah, green, yellow, and blue looks like. So a lot of cool pre-made color sets where you can design your own colors. So there's the regular explosion colors. Or I'm sorry, that's electric. Then poison. I think poison looks like some shades of purple. And then smoke, which is different shades of gray. So yeah, so you can design your own colors or use an array of colors right here. So a lot of stuff you can do with all of this. Oh, I think I forgot to mention one thing earlier. Let me backtrack a second here. When we were looking at these, the My Sprite start effect or the regular effect, you can replace those with this. So if I'm just going to temporarily remove this one and put this one here instead. So remember how this was just making a regular yellow spark happen? I can throw this on top of that, and that allows me to do those colors we were just looking at, right? So I could do a fire spark, which actually looks really cool. Or I could do ice, toxic, electric, poison, smoke. Those same colors we were just looking at. So this is another one of the simpler ways of doing it. So basically, in short, with this extension, you have a lot of options. And you can do it the simple way by using these blocks and one of these blocks, right? Or you can create your own effects using these. Here's my challenge for you guys. I have a challenge for y'all to get creative with it. First off, I would love for you to build something with this extension. I'd love for you to download it and just play around with it. But what I would really love to see is, can you use this effect to create a fireworks show? Can you create a program that shoots off fireworks and looks really cool doing it? If you can, I want to see it. So copy the link. This is the button you hit, right? Name your program, share project, copy the link, and post it in the comments. If you build anything else using this effect, I would love to see that work too. This is a great effect to just use in regular games. I had a student who built a really cool game where you were shooting, I don't remember if it was spaceships or planes, but it was a projectile-based game. And every time you defeated an enemy, they exploded with an effect that he made with this. So he created his own explosion effects with this extension. And it looked so cool. It makes his game look very professional. So if you build any other games that use this effects, I'd love to see those too. Click the link, copy it, put it in the comments. Okay. If you learned something new today, You know what to do. Like this video. If you're not already subscribed, please subscribe. And don't forget to tell your friends and family about this page. We are almost done talking about extensions, so I still have a little bit more I want to cover before we go. So I will see you guys next time.